Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2017 Mazda 6 Grand Touring. Up front is a 2.5 liter inline 4 and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Mazda 6 for a couple of reasons. You guys know I love Mazdas. I've owned 5 Mazdas myself and it's always exciting to drive another one. But the second reason is the fact that recently Mazda has announced that they are no longer making the Mazda 6, meaning this is the final generation. So we'll be talking a lot about that towards the end of the video. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradle.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack or a big friggin' bottle sticker. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form. And last but not least, you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 2.5 liter under the hood making about 184 horsepower. Well, for almost the last decade, Mazda has been using this as their bread and butter engine. Almost every single vehicle they've offered in the last 10 years has come with this as an option, ranging from the Mazda CX-5, the Mazda 3 gets it, the Mazda 6 obviously gets it. Only the Miata hasn't gotten the 2.5 liter treatment, which I think it should, but I digress. It's a really solid engine. It's called the Sky Active engine. And honestly, in these Mazda vehicles, I've never really felt a need for more horsepower. Yes, later on, they did offer a turbo model available in the 6 and the 3 and the CX-5 and CX-9 and CX-30, but this is just the naturally aspirated version. Like I said, I like it. Paired to that 2.5 liter is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Again, all modern Mazdas have 6-speed automatics if they are automatic, and I've always liked it. Shifts smooth. I've never heard of really having an issue with this transmission, and that is fantastic. Last but not least, of course, the Mazda 6 is front-wheel drive, and interestingly, they never offered an all-wheel drive Mazda 6 of this generation. They did an all-wheel drive Mazda 3, however, the Mazda 6 never got that. I assume because the Mazda 3 got it in 2019 and they already saw the writing on the wall that the 6 wasn't going to be continued, so they didn't put the effort in, but I still would have liked to have seen an all-wheel drive Mazda 6. That would have been pretty neat. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 physical gauges and a screen. On the left, I have my tachometer, in the center is my speedometer, and on the right, I do have a customizable screen for like my MPG, my trip odometer, and things like that. It's nice and easy to see in all sunlights, which is nice, and I'm a big fan. Now, up above the gauges, I do have a heads-up display. I'm not a big fan of this. I like having the heads-up display. I think it's really useful information. However, Mazda did it in a way where it projects onto this little piece of plastic as opposed to projecting on the windshield like every other car. I don't know why they did this. I don't know if it was like a issue that they couldn't do it onto the windshield. I don't know what it is. But I think this looks really, really cheap, and I'd rather not have the heads-up display than have this cheap-looking one. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my volume, voice command, skip track, info, and phone options, and on the right, I have my radar cruise control options. So this does come with radar cruise control, which is a fantastic feature. I use it on my Mazda 3 almost daily. For highway driving, it's such a nice feature. The overall steering wheel looks and feels nice. It does sort of have this hard plasticky leather around the outside, but that's okay. Off to the left, I have my traction control, lane keep assist, and tire pressure set. Something interesting is that Mazda has taken this away from their vehicles. You can no longer manually set the tire pressure, which is a little sad. I do get a cubby down below. I personally use this for my garage door opener. It's not really big enough to fit much else. And then on the door, I have my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, I do have the infotainment system, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't like Mazda's infotainment from the mid-2010s. This sort of red bubble infotainment, I call it. It's not great. It does not have Apple CarPlay either. That came later. So at the end of the day, just not the big fan. Next to that, that's actually where you'll find your start-stop button for the vehicle itself. I always spend a little bit of time searching for it because it's so high up. Then in the center, I get my hazard switch and 2 climate control vents and the climate controls, heated seats, dual zone climate, all fantastic, fantastic options. This is the Grand Touring, so it's the top trim. However, I don't have the luxury package, which would give me rear heated seats. We'll talk about that in a second. But for the most part, this is a pretty fully loaded 6, and I love that. Interestingly, down below that, I have a CD player. This has to be one of the last Mazdas to actually have a CD player on board. Then I get a 12-volt outlet in the center, a little cubby to store things, and then, of course, the shifter. I love the feel of the shifter. It has a nice, satisfying click when you do put it into gear. Looks nice, feels great, and you can shift through the gears manually if you'd like to through a plus-minus system. Off to the left of that, I do have a little sport mode button, so you can put the Mazda 6 into sport mode, and really what this does is it just changes up the transmission, holds onto the gears a little bit longer so you can really rev it out, get that top-end power. It's nothing too crazy, but I do utilize it for on-ramps when getting on the highway. Off to the left, I have my power parking brake, and I do have my volume knob down here, which I really like because this is where I naturally rest my hand, so it's nice to have the volume right there. Then we do have openable cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2017 Mazda 6 Grand Touring, and unfortunately, it's so close, but unfortunately, it fails. Then I get a little center console, and we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are heated, they are leather, and I really like the overall look and feel of them. I've always found them very comfortable, and I think Mazda does a good job. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2017 Mazda 6 Grand Touring, and a couple of things to note back here. First of all, headroom good, knee room good, way better than an equivalent year Mazda 3. This is the big advantage of the Mazda 6, is the rear seat room. I can actually sit back here and feel like an adult, which is nice because I am an adult. Some of you guys don't believe me, but I am. I also have this center console, fold down cup holders. I have my own vents back here, and something that other cars get with the premium package, you had to spec it yourself. I've actually driven lower trim Mazda 6s that came with the rear heated seats. You can get them in this generation if that's something you want to seek out. I highly would recommend it just because it's cool, and not a lot of cars, at least in this segment, get rear heated seats. Let's go take a quick look at the trunk, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Mazda 6. I can push and hold, and it will pop the trunk from the key. And we come up here and we get tons of trunk space. This is a really nice feature of the Mazda 6. Way more trunk space, I would say, than the Mazda 3, which is absolutely fantastic, and I love that. I don't get any crazy amenities back here. I can lower the rear seats, fold them down for extra cargo space with these two little helpful knobs, and I get this nice Mazda 6 mat down here. Some little cubbies off to the left and right, but that's really it. Nothing too fancy, but plenty of space. Now we gotta talk about the looks. And I do like the look of this generation of Mazda 6. I think the first generation kind of has my heart just because of the Mazda Speed 6 of that gen. But I do think that this is a handsome vehicle, and I think still looks modern to this day. Maybe here in 2022, it's edging on not looking like the current model year, but I think it still looks very good. With all of that being said, let's get to my final thoughts here on the 2017 Mazda 6 Grand Touring. Well, I think this is really well equipped. It's a nice driving experience, and if you could find one for the right price, I think it's worth it. I haven't heard many reliability issues, if any, for this chassis or generation of car, and I can confidently say that it's a smart purchase. However, let's talk about the Mazda 6 as a whole, because as I said at the beginning of the video, this car is no more. Well, Mazda has decided to stop making the Mazda 6 after 2021. Much like the Ford Fusion I reviewed not too long ago, that was the last Ford sedan. Now, Mazda still makes the 3 sedan. However, I'd have to imagine its days are numbered. People don't want sedans anymore. People want crossovers. Companies want to build crossovers because they don't have as strict of emission requirements. People like the added ride height. And to be fair, the CX-5 is one of my favorite vehicles ever. My family has owned 2 of them. We love them. And when people are looking for new cars, I always recommend them. But the success of the CX-5 has created the detriment of the Mazda 6. No one really needs this car anymore. And so, if we look back to the late 1980s and early 1990s with the Mazda 626 and MX-6 that I reviewed, that's where this name comes from. It originally was the 626, and Mazda just cut off the additional 2 and 6. That was a fantastic car. This is a fantastic car. And yet all of that is sadly coming to an end. The market's changing, and Mazda has to change with it. They've announced 3 new SUVs globally to take the 6's place. Times are changing. The tide is going back out to sea. And that's sad, because I think there was some nice perks of the Mazda 6. The longer chassis, the lower roofline, it looks sleek and yet still has rear seat room. I think this filled a nice void, but apparently that void is no longer there. And so I'd like to imagine somewhere in car model heaven, The Mazda 6 is nestling up next to what used to be its sibling, the Ford Fusion. And together, from above, they'll watch down on what we call a car market now, with what I can only imagine is a little bit of sadness in their eyes. I know there's sadness in my eyes. This is a good car, and we're just not gonna get them anymore. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Eric for letting me review his 2017 Mazda 6 Grand Touring. This is absolutely fantastic. Eric has been fantastic to work with, and so this whole video was thanks to him. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.